Hey guys, welcome to the Fanspo Podcast. My name's MN Robinson, a user from Australia, and I'm the host of this podcast.
Hi, my name is Mohid. I'm Palo owns you on Fanspo.
Also, my name is TK, Go Away Raptors fan 126 on Fanspo.
And also we have our two producers, Swag Duck, also known as Oliver, and the Guru, also known as Aryan.
So on this pod, we're going to be covering a lot of different topics. Obviously, with the off season approaching, we've got a lot of topics that we need to cover to keep the show on the road. We're gonna have guests, and yeah.
We will be covering this off-season and also free agency.
With the draft weeks away, we'll be covering the draft, and we'll do our mock drafts, previews, reviews, prospects, everything draft related.
We'll also be covering the NBA finals, which are happening right now. So it's actually we'll be doing that right now today. Like each game, from game 1 to game 5, or predictions for game 5.
And we'll also be doing debates with each other on just certain topics that are provided and see what we think in terms of different perspective when it comes to basketball. Let's get straight to the basketball part. Let's discuss the finals, guys. So obviously in game 1, Celtics came out all guns blazing. They dominated, and it was really interesting to see the coaching battle because game 1's always a feel-out game. We saw the C's just dominate with Porzingis coming out in that first quarter off the bench. So just came out like a real spark was lit into him, knowing that people in the media were acting like it's not a big thing that he's coming back. But this is an NBA All-Star, but borderline All-Star. What do you guys think about game 1?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
the
think
Mavericks
Porzingis really
shooting
changed the game. Like, he was kind of still close to the beginning, but then he kind of literally hit like 2 threes, and then I think had a block as well. So it kind of changed the game.
And then Kyrie's shooting struggles were really hurting the Mavericks early on. He couldn't hit a shot at all.
For sure. It was really interesting to see the coaching battle. Like, that's something I've really kept an eye on this series because I'm not a big fan of Kidd or Missoula as coaches, to be honest. But I really liked what I've seen from Missoula. Like, sorry, I'm fast tracking a bit from not just game 1, but I liked what I've seen from him in this series.
I think to be fair, I think Kidd's also done a good job. I think the first 3 rounds, I think, with his defensive game planning.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for Dallas was they just really didn't have a way to cover Porzingis in that first,
Like I think he's been
especially that first half.
I think he's doing a lot of blitzes as well. I think it's kind of like he was able to really shut down the Minnesota offense, but it hasn't really worked in this Celtics series though. Because Celtics have like multiple threats who can knock down shots and create.
Yeah, well said, TK. What I found interesting in game 1 and a bit of game 2 is how Boston, not just with Porzingis, but also Horford, made Lively and Gafford look like liability. Well, not liabilities, but just parts of themselves. They were a bit lost. Obviously, Lively's a rookie and he's been amazing this year, and it's been a really great draft pick for them. But I found it really intriguing to see how well Boston just took them out of the game and made them like worried. It was just really, really good coaching and great position, a great positional advantage there in the first few games at least.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
thing that
I
really
completely agree. Yeah,
interested me was Alice was running a really deep rotation throughout this series. It's not like a typical 8-man, 7-man.
Yeah, to go into that point, I've I've been confused at kids' rotations in the finals precisely, but again, I don't really blame him because although I'm a big Exum fan, I thought he was really poor these playoffs, and he was really good in Game 4, but also I'm a big Josh Green fan. He's been underwhelming these playoffs, and like obviously Tim Hardaway Jr. Let's be honest, we don't really you can't trust him to give quality minutes in the playoffs, let alone the finals at this point of his career. And then they were really relying on Derek Jones Jr. as their lone wing, and that's something which you always need a wing, like two at each position type thing for a playoffs, and then you trust your best 8-9 rotation especially in the finals. And Dallas is still trying to figure that out in a game 4, game 3, game 2, and game 1 of an NBA final series. And that's something which the inconsistency of their wings these playoffs, minus Derek Jones, has been really it's been frustrating as a neutral viewer to see because kids still trying to find one who you can trust when Jones is in foul trouble or tired to just come on and replicate some quality wing minutes.
Yeah, the bench overall's been pretty underwhelming. Like the only like plus bench player's been Derek Lively, and he's also kind of been a liability, like you said, at times in the finals. So yeah, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, I agree.
If they can come back, if they need like some of these guys to step up. Like Dante Exum was good in Game 5, so maybe he can continue. Start Game 4.
Yeah, Dallas didn't really have anything going for them. They kept having things just weren't going their way up until Game 4, and then everything kind of clicked all of a sudden, and it was really like it was almost kind of weird to see like
But yeah,
oh
like
they've been getting cooked
in
these
Game
first 3
1, I think
games.
obviously the Celtics shot the ball very well. I think they were like 16 to 42, and then the Mavs were like 7 to 27. So that's another big
Yeah,
thing.
Mavs could not hit a shot early on this series.
I wanted to ask you guys about what you guys thought of the Brian Windhorst little rant about Luka Doncic. Like for me personally, I've made it clear just to the people around my like family circle that I love Luka, right? But the issue I've got with him is his defensive effort and his lack of respect for his teammates is so frustrating to see. Like there's the viral clip of him losing his marbles at Gafford last series for not setting a pick in the right spot or something like that. And then you just see him look at the ref every single possession when there's no foul, or even if there is, it's a soft call to make. What do you guys just think about the general rant or the general perception of
Yeah, I mean,
Luka, specifically up to Game 3?
Windhorst wasn't
I think
necessarily
it's
wrong.
fair.
I
Like I
mean,
think
at times,
he wasn't wrong. Like I think there's certainly a lot of times where he kind of when things don't go his way, he just kind of he doesn't give any effort on defense and often complain to the refs and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I think he's
yeah,
correct, but I think he can figure it out though, Luca. Like he's still like what 25. I think he'll get past it soon enough. This is his first finals.
yeah. I mean, at times Luka has looked like the only competent guy on offense, and like the Mavericks still need him definitely at the end of the day. It's just like if he just puts in a little bit more effort, he can honestly make himself the best player in the league, and they can easily be contenders and win a title within the next couple of years.
For sure. And even though like this series is looking like Boston's going to take it in Game 5, or if not, just win the series in general, Dallas have really set themselves up for a few years of contention. With Luka at 25, you still got Kyrie, whose game is going to age gracefully. You got the wings in Washington and Green and Exum, and then you might lose Jones Jr. Hopefully not. But then you still got Hardaway's contract in like an O-Max to develop or to trade away with Hardaway to get someone. So they've got a lot of years ahead of them. And as you said, Luke is 25 years of age and he's top 3, top 4, top 2 player in the league. So they'll be fine. And there's a lot of reactionary comments from the media and people just in general watching the finals, and it makes sense because it's a media-based league.
Yeah,
I think
that's
Derek Lively's
true.
also gonna be key for them as well.
Lively's
Like
still
I think
20.
he's got a lot of upside. Like that's like what he's shown as a passer as well, which is a big thing for a big man. I think he'll be key for them as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. I'm a big fan of Omax. I think I've really liked what I saw for him for the Texas Legends when I briefly watched some games. I liked him just out of college, and I think he'll be alright and he'll be good if they don't trade him, which I think they will this offseason. I just got this inkling that they'll trade him with Hardaway and he'll be somewhere else this coming season. But nonetheless, Dallas will be fine. And on to game five. What do you guys think will happen in game five? And let's say the series ended today. Who's your finals MVP?
So
For Finals
I think
MVP,
the Celtics will actually win Game 5. I think Game 4 they kind of didn't want to play it kind of like they were like slow to all the rebounds. Like, I think the Mavericks won all the 50-50 battles. So I think the Celtics will come out with more energy at home and they'll close it out. And for Finals MVP, I think for now it's been Jaylen Brown. I think like he's been the most consistent Celtic on both ends of the floor. So yeah.
What about you,
yeah, I
Mohid?
agree. I think that Boston closes it out on home. Kyrie hasn't been able to get anything going when he's in Boston, and the crowd has definitely gotten into his head. And I agree. It's probably Jaylen Brown for Finals MVP at the moment. He's just been top to bottom their most consistent player throughout the series.
I think you two guys summed it up perfectly. I'm taking Boston in five, or in game five. I think the fact that they had a poor game four, I don't really take much into it. They'll probably not trying less, but just not trying to overdo themselves. Yes, they had a championship to win, but you've still got three more games. Whatever happens in game four. You would love a ring, but the chance to win it in game five at the TD Garden for the 18th banner to be hung up there, home crowd, just, yeah, whatever. Hopefully, it's a good game five, but I think Boston will win it quite, not comfortably, but who knows. But for Finals MVP, if it ended now, I'd say Jaylen Brown. I think Jalen's been the best Celtic by far, in my opinion. His offense and defense has been really, really elite, high-level basketball. And runner-up for me would be Drew Holiday, if it's a Celtic, but it would be Luka. But I think Drew's been really good. I've been a critic of Drew. I think he's dropped slightly in the playoffs the last few campaigns, but he's been really good in the finals. And none of us mentioned Tatum, obviously. Let's talk about Tatum's final series. Obviously, he's a top 10, top 15 player in the league, 25, 26 years of age. What do you guys take into this final series after his Warriors series a few years ago where he was a tad below the level he should be, and now his second finals, he hasn't been the Jason Tatum we've seen before in the regular season and the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of critical of Tatum. I always thought he kind of needs to have this
Yeah, no,
legacy
I think he's
playoff
been kind of in a
series to really
slump. Like, I don't
cement
know.
himself.
But at least I think, compared to like the last finals, I think he's actually shown some growth as a playmaker. I think he's making the right reads a lot more often, which I think is good. Though I think he still forces up a lot of bad shots at times as well. But I think the playmaking has definitely been improved.
Yeah, 100%. I
Yeah, he's
agree
been
on
a
that.
lot more
And
well-rounded compared to the previous series with the Warriors. He knows that he doesn't need to be a superstar and be the clear-cut number one guy for the Boston Celtics to win the series.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I really like the point TK made there about taking bad shots because I want to dive into that more. JT, he's got a very predictable game, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But he takes the right wing 3-point shot every single game. Will have at least 5 of
Yeah.
them, or if it's not a deep two. Like, he's so athletic and strong where he can make his way to the cup, but he never does, and that's something that frustrates me as a fan who wants him to improve. And especially since I've grown like a connection to his father coaching in the NBL from Australia. And like Tatum really needs to realize that he's Jason Tatum. Like you can get yourself to the rim and you can finish. And he's always settles for those shots at the end of the shot clock or even at the start of the shot clock. And it's just so frustrating to watch. And he's just a great player, but he could grow so much. And he's still got room to grow, obviously, and he will. But it's not just a finals vacuumed like point there. I think it's just been his whole career. And he came in that with the end of the Hayward Celtics, Irving Celtics, and his game's grew like immaculately, and it's been really good to see. But he's still got those room to grow, and he will. And I'm being hard on him, but it's just really frustrating. Anyways, I think that's enough finals talk. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I reckon this podcast has got a lot of room to grow. We've had a few technical difficulties with recording over the last few days, and we hope that you guys enjoyed the first episode. It was a bit short, but we'll get into more over the coming weeks, and we're just glad to get an episode out for you guys. If you guys have any questions, like ask us on the Fanspo website or Fanspo Discord if you're in it. And thank you very much, guys, for joining episode 1, and it's been really, really fun to record and get to know you guys. And yeah, thank you, Mohid. Thank you, TK, and that's it for episode 1 of the Fanspo Hoop podcast.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
See you on the next one, hopefully.